canvas. I started off painting the canvas black because sometimes I just get sick of looking at white. And one thing that's been on my mind to paint for quite a while is a snake painting, probably featuring, you know, the snake. I'm most familiar with tiger snake or copperhead, probably tiger snake I think, because I got some really good sketches of tiger snakes. I marked out all these scales, and marking out the scales I basically just drew a brick wall. I did the scales of the head first, and then when they come off the body I sort of gridded out the body in a brick wall, curved brick wall the shape of the body. And every brick I replaced with a scale. Well, it's daytime and I'm ready to start painting this tiger snake. Alright, going to mix up some grey and paint every scale in grey, and from the grey I'm going to put in dark and light, and it might be more of a tanny coloured grey. This snake was the snake that was striking me. One that was mad because of being all cut up by humans, and that was a lovely sort of a tanny brown colour, so I might, rather than a grey, probably more of a browny tan colour. That can be the basic colour which I shall work upon. Sticking in all this detail, something that looks madly insane. I have to drive the person around the bend, but it's not that bad. Once you get into it, it's not so bad. You sort of get into the flow of it. It's sort of very peaceful, very relaxing, compared to doing the actual sketch in the first place, which is really quick and fast. This is very slow, very relaxing. You sort of zone out. There we go. Just like doing the fur or the scales or feathers on something. Sort of time to just sort of relax. It's a little bit like if you drive a car. You sort of zone out a bit and just, you know, which is not really a good thing, but you know, you tend to sort of forget about something. I often don't copy photos. I used to, but photos really, you know, if you're copying a photograph, it's good. You know, you can get some really nice paintings. At the end of the day, all you're doing is reproducing a photograph in a different way. By doing it this way, by not using any photographs at all, what I'm doing is creating something which is just me. So, you know, there's certainly going to be things that are inaccurate. It's certainly not perfect. And when you do something which is not quite perfect, like say you do a signature, everybody's signature is different, well, it turns into a style. So the bits here that I'm not getting just right, it becomes my style. It's been ages since I've done a collage. I've always liked the technique. A lot of the artists I like Jasper Johns, Robert Rauschenberg. A lot of these people use like collage in their work, and it's just, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's really nice. It's a different approach. I've sort of used a binder, like a glue, mixed it together, put all this stuff on, piece by piece, and then mixed a bit of yellow ochre in with the binder and painted that over the whole lot, and that sort of gives the white a little bit of a yellowy look. Because I'm using acid-free white, it's not going to go yellowy like old newspaper like some of those great painters used to use, and so I've sort of yellowed it a bit. Let it slop around a bit, which is, you know, sloppy is my style. And next I'm going to try and make this collage sort of blend into the background a bit, so when you first see it you don't notice it's collage, you're going to just see it as a painting of a snake. Masking out, so I like to throw paint around. Don't want to throw paint on the design that I've carefully drawn out here. I'll let it dry for a little while. Before it's completely dry, I just hose it out with a little bit of a fine mist on the hose, and sort of leaves all these sort of funny little bits. You can see where it's dry at the edges and it's wet there, and the hose has washed away the wet bits, which is a different type of pattern. I put some dark underneath the snake, and I've blended it out so the snake stands out from the background. Now I'm painting every scale a colour so that it stands out a bit more. The underpainting was a bit weak and wishy-washy. This is giving it some real depth of colour. This is making the colour stand out. I've put a blue glaze over the whole snake, and this has sort of made it look a little bit more greenish, but you still get a lot of that rich colour coming through, which I don't mind. And the next, also I notice in the snake itself also has a little bit of yellow coming up through the scales and the darker bits. So I'm going to stick a bit of yellow, a pale yellow, sneaking up through those scales before I put any more detail on them. Next I'm going to underline all the scales, or quite a lot of the darker ones in the dark areas, with a bit of black, just as an underline, like the shadow underneath each scale. Okay, the next bit I'm going to do is start adding white to it. Tiger snakes, their scales are always shiny, and we're going to have shiny bits on all these scales, and that's going to lift the whole thing out, because I've only done the dark bits so far. Now comes the light bits. Okay, finally I paint in some of the detail on the tongue here, and now I get the paintbrush really dry. Just a tiny little bit of paint in, just smearing the paint on to give it like a light shining sort of look. Dry brush technique. And she's done. Picture of a tiger snake.